Yeah, good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned about language 6. In that we learned about JavaScript variables. Huh? So we discussed about variables in and variables. What topics we learned is and variable assignment and initialization. And for that we have the keywords var, let, and const. And we discussed the differences between them. Difference var is function scope, let and const are block scope. Var supports hoisting, shadowing, let will not, let and const will not. Var let supports declaring assignment initialization, but const will support only initialization, right? These are the basic things we learned. Now, once we know these, next important you need to know about, we have global scope, variable global scope, variables global scope. Global scope is nothing but how to define a variable so that it is accessible to all functions, because every variable is a function scope or a block scope. So global scope defines the accessibility of variable across multiple functions. Global scope defines the accessibility of variable across multiple functions. So if you want
Recording in progress.
Initializing variable, declaring or initializing variable outside function makes as global. Declaring or initializing variable outside function makes as global. If you declare anything inside function, the maximum is function scope. You cannot access outside the function in another function. And if you want to access across function, then you have to use global. So here, suppose we are using our project. And in this, what is the concept of global scope is? So we are having use strict, and we have a function, and f1 is one function, and f2 is another function. Now we want a value to be accessed in both functions. We are executing function 1 and function 2. I want some value to be accessed in both functions. Then if you declare any variable in function 1, it is not accessible to function 2, because maximum scope allowed is function. So even you declare with var, let, const, anything, then how to declare a value and use in all functions? You have to declare outside the function. So outside the function, you can declare using anything, var, let, or const. Sometimes some websites and some people give a wrong information, like global variables are declared with only var. That is wrong. You can declare global variable with any keyword. Global variable is not depending on keyword. It depending on where you declare. That means you can declare global variable where x equal to 10, let y equal to 20, const z equal to 30. All are globals. All are global. Global depends on the scope where you declared. It doesn't depends on which keyword you are using. All are accessible. Now you can access them in function document dot write some x equal to plus in the next this is I'm writing, suppose you say I am writing like function 1 x equal to the value of x and y is equal to the value of y and z equal to the value of z. That is how you configure. Now same I am using in function 2 also. Function 2 also can access. I will put a line break. So function 1 xyz and function 2 xyz. In both places, those values are accessible. So you are not declaring inside function, you are declaring outside function and you are accessing it. Now, this is okay. You can declare a global variable by using anyone. In some interviews, they ask like, can I declare a variable in function and access in another function? Is it possible to declare a variable in one function and access in another function? It is possible if you are using JavaScript with a HTML. It is not possible if you are using JavaScript with any server side or other. Because what is the specialty of HTML is, HTML allows a browser window memory. HTML can use browser window memory. When it uses browser window memory, into that memory you can send data. And if you send data into browser memory, it is accessible everywhere. That means you see here. Now what I am doing is, I am declaring a variable here. Just I am using var. I am defining, suppose a is equal to 40. And I am trying to print that a also here. That means I will say a is equal to plus a. I am printing a also. So that means we are printing x, y, z and a. Same a I will print here also. That means after z, I will put plus and a equal to plus a. I am printing a in both places. But you see, only function 1 will work. Why function 2 is not working? You will see an error here. The error is nothing but a is not defined at function 2. Because a is declared, where we declared a is declared in function 1. It is declared in function 1 and it is not accessible to function 2. If I use let, anything, let or const or var, it's not accessible outside function. Then you can do like this. You can declare window.a. That means you can declare a variable inside function using that window object, which makes global. It is not possible in JavaScript if JavaScript is used outside HTML, because window belongs to browser object. And if you are using with browser object, then it's possible. I told you JavaScript is used in Angular, React. That is also with browser. And JavaScript is used in server side, Node.js. It is used in MongoDB like references. In that case, you cannot use window. Window can be used only when JavaScript is used with HTML. Now you see here, it is window A, and you can observe that this is working fine. We don't have a problem. That means if anyone asks, like, can we have a global variable inside function? Yes, we can have a global variable inside function. So you can configure a global variable inside function using window object of JavaScript. So window.name, where variable name is equal to value. And when you are accessing, you just use that variable name. But when you are declaring, you have to declare by using the keyword window. That is global scope. So if you want a variable to be accessed across various locations, then you can use it. Right. Now, another important here. So syntactically, first I will give, here we have a script, and we have a variable x10. So function f1, and here we can use document.write f1 x equal to plus x. And in function 2 also you want to access, and here also document.write f2 x equal to plus x. That is how we can define a global script. We have to call the function f1 and f2 to execute both of them. So that is global scope. Now, that is one simple point to understand. So, if you want a variable global and declared inside the function, then you can use that window keyword. That example I will give. This example I will copy for your reference sake. Right. So this is the concept of variable. Here, one more point is, generally when you see some website references and videos on JavaScript, you will find sometimes people saying like this. What they say is actually, they say that without using any keyword, you declare a variable, it becomes global. That means I just used A without any keyword. I just mentioned it some 50. A is 50. Without using any keyword. So, and you can see 50 is working. Sometimes people show like this. That's not good. Why it is not good? Because it is working because I removed strict mode. If you have observed that. I removed strict mode. In strict mode, declaration is not mandatory. So that means if I turn on the strict mode, this will never work. That means what many websites tell you is, they don't put strict mode. They tell you that simply A is equal to 10, you can access anywhere. But that is not right, because 100% when we implement in real world, always we turn on the strict mode. then that is not a correct syntax which works. So that means now if it is in strict mode, it will not work. It's mandatory to define A. And if you define A with var or let or const, it's not accessible outside. Then we have to use which one? Window. That means it is accessible everywhere. Right. So that is one important point about variable. How you configure the global. Declaring variables, using different keywords for variables, and making the variables global in scope. Configuring global in scope. Next important, you should know some more points like variable naming. You need to know some more basic points about variable naming. So there are certain rules for naming. And what are the rules as per ECMA? So according to ECMA rules, variable name must start with an alphabet. So it can be alphanumeric with underscore. It can have underscore. You can start with underscore. You can start name with underscore. So, but it is not recommended. So ECMA doesn't recommend to use special characters, because some people have an habit of using some special characters like dollars and others. It's not recommended. I already told you, we have to follow the rules of programming. So the standards of programming. So name must start with an alphabet as per the standards. Actually, sometimes people start with underscore also. But it is not recommended by official ECMA. It says that don't write special characters. Always avoid special characters in variable names. Some special characters are allowed, but we don't recommend them. We don't allow to use. Another important, it can be alphanumeric. It can have alphabet and number, but it should start with an alphabet. And name max length can be up to 255 characters. Make sure that the name max length doesn't exceed 255 characters. The name max length can be up to 255 characters. So variable naming comprises of all these basic things, 255 characters, and never use keywords as variable names. These basics you know. Like you cannot have a variable called for. Am I right? You cannot have a variable called is. So you cannot have a variable called while, like that. These are all invalid. Because usually these are all different keywords. So never use keywords as variables. And important is variable name must speak what it is. Variable name must speak what it is. Usually by seeing the variable name itself, we must able to tell what kind of information it may have. That's very important. While learning, you may be using X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D. It doesn't matter. We should not use such names. For example, anywhere in any computer programming, the names must speak what it is. For example, suppose there is a class called employee. You people have an habit of creating an object by name EMP. That's not recommended. In real world projects, we don't use EMP, ABC, XYZ. We have to use employee, complete name. But we change the capitalization, because if I use uppercase employee, it will be same class name. It will be employee, that is lowercase. Actually, we recommend using camel case. You don't worry about shortcuts, because for shortcuts, there is a concept called minification. I told you minification. You give the code to minification tool, it will take care. You don't worry about that. You don't use any shortcut names, X, Y, Z, A, B, C's. That's not at all recommended in real-time programming. So a variable name must speak what it is. That means, so it should tell exactly for what purpose you are using. By seeing name itself, they must able to tell what it may contain, right? So always use camel case. These are all basic standards. Camel case, already I told you. Camel case means starts with lowercase and will have an uppercase letter. For example, suppose username, then we will put username like this. That is camel case. So while working with variables, these are all the basic points you should know. When you are giving name for variables, make sure that variable names start with an alphabet. You can add numbers, avoid using special characters. You can have special characters. So underscore is the common one, but according to the standards, avoid using special characters. And generally, developers have an habit of writing like this. For example, we have var underscore product name. If you see such reference names anywhere in real-time project, there is a meaning for that. Why they use underscore for that names? What's the reason to use underscore? Right? So generally you will see such names. This is not recommended by official ECMA, but our developers still follow this in designing, in developing. Why they follow? Because this is a developer's tradition to tell that so this product name have further implementation. That means if you see in real-time projects, any variable name or class name or object name given with underscore, that is developers intention to tell that this is not finished, it requires more implementation. That means by seeing that underscore, we can understand that, okay, this is not the final. There is some more implementation happening for this. That is the habit, but it is not recommended officially. But you will see this regularly in real world design, because developers tell other developers in this way. That means we have some code language and we have same like sign language. So we tell other developers just with some signs, that so that he can easily understand. So if you see any name starting with underscore, that means it requires further implementation. Its functionality is not final. That's a habit. But as per the standards, these are all the important things you should know about variable naming. I hope you are clear with this, right? So you have learned how to declare a variable and what are the variable naming rules and what is local scope, another one global. Local scope means inside a function or inside a block, and global scope means accessible across functions, across the functions. That is variable. Next important, now you need to know about another is data types. So JavaScript data types. JavaScript data type. The first thing is, what is a data type? What is a data type in computer programming? Generally, data type means people think that it tells what type of data we can store. Am I right? But actually, it is more than that. Data type is not just what type of data they can store, what range of data they can store. That means technically in computer programming, data type defines the data structure. In computer programming, data type defines the data structure. Data structure means it is about the type and behavior of data in memory. It is about the type and behavior of data in memory. That means what type of data you have to store and how the data behaves in memory, all this comes under data type. It is not just about, is it a number, is it a string? It is more than that. That means it also mentions about how much you can store, what you can store, how it will respond, how it will behave. This all comes under data structure. That's the reason it's not a new concept. Generally, sometimes people divide it. Like, you have C programming. When you are learning C, Java, and all these programming languages, they have a separate topic mentioned like data structures. Am I right? But data structure is a part of type. It is a part of type. Generally, in regular types, they don't learn. Then separately, they will learn about data complete structures. That means usually it should be as a part of type only. But everybody doesn't need the structure of data. They just need the type of data. That is the reason in computer programming, majority they avoid. When a person is teaching you C programming or any another programming language, he will avoid data structure. He will tell you only data type. Why? Because data structure is a very big concept to make you understand about the structure and behavior of data. And for that, he need a separate session. He cannot include that in your general data type session. He can include, but it will be very risky to understand for you. That's the reason what they do is they mention it as a separate concept. You see, several times some training centers will put C with data structures. Right? Data structure is a part of programming. But why they have to separately mention? Because once you know how your data works, later we will explain how it behaves, right? How it responds, all the complete architecture of data. So technically, data type defines both what type of data and what is the structure of data. And one important thing you know already is JavaScript strongly typed. JavaScript is not strongly typed. If JavaScript is not strongly typed, there is no restriction for data in memory. There is no restriction for data in memory. Your Java, C, C++, .NET, they put restriction for data. They say that integer A. That means A must be only integer. In JavaScript, you don't have. In JavaScript, you allocate memory. In that, anything can store. You don't have a restriction for that. So the point is, JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. Hence, there is no data type restriction for data in memory. for data in memory. There is no data type restriction. Hence, there is no data type restriction for data in memory. It is not a strongly typed language. That means, for example, you declared var x. Into that, you can store any type of data. Any type of data can be stored. Any type of data can be stored into it. There is no restriction. And actually, the data type will change. That means JavaScript is implicitly typed. Implicitly typed language. Implicitly typed language means that the data type changes according to the value type. The data type changes according to the value type. It is not fixed. The data type is changing according to value type. There is no fixed type. That's why we call as implicit types. That means what? Suppose if I say var x equal to 10. Now x is what? X is a number. Into that x, later I send some a. Then x becomes a string. It will not say that I can't store. Whereas your strongly typed languages will not allow. Your strongly typed languages will tell that in X you can't store a string. But here there is no problem. Automatically it changes. That means here X equal to true. Then automatically X becomes a Boolean type. There is no restriction. There is no type restriction. That becomes an issue also. Why? Because already I told you in the drawbacks. We need to use a lot of validation. Before we take the value, we have to verify, is it a number or a string? Then we need to present the data. So JavaScript is an implicitly typed language. But what type of data it can store? That means JavaScript data type in memory can be primitive type or non-primitive type. Primitive type. So it can be primitive type or non-primitive type. JavaScript data type in memory can be a primitive or non-primitive type. What are these primitive types? Non-primitive types, I will tell you. That means finally what type of data JavaScript can handle. Actually, primitive type is nothing but, so we have primitive types. What is the point about primitive type is, so primitive types are immutable types. Immutable types are immutable type. Primitive types are immutable type. Immutable means you can't change. What you cannot change? You cannot change value. What you cannot change? Immutable means you cannot change. What you cannot change? Value. Value. That means you are thinking that immutable means value cannot change. Then it is read only. Am I right? Value cannot change means it is read only. Why you are saying immutable? Immutable means not about the value, it is about structure. Immutable is not about value. Immutable means it is about structure. Structure cannot change. Value can change. Value can change. Immutable, mutable are not about values. They are about structure. They are about structure. If value cannot change, we call it read only. Right? So immutable is not about value. It is about structure. That means you cannot change. You cannot change the structure. Structure. It have a fixed range for value. You cannot change it. It have a fixed range for value. That's very important. That means value can change. Structure cannot change. What does that means? What is the structure cannot change means, right? Actually, in the primitive type, for example, in the primitive type here, I will just put a script here where I entered some number, x equal to some number I am entering. Now, if I ask you in x, how much number I can store? In x, how much number I can store? Any number? Can I store any number? No, we cannot store any number. There is a limit. There is a limit. You cannot store any number. There is a limit. See the limit. I'm just using here document.write. So here, so min. Just observe here. So number.min safe integer, and I'm using max, and number have a max safe integer, and actually this is the minimum and maximum range of a number in memory. This is the minimum and maximum. You cannot store anything outside this. You cannot store anything outside this. This is the minimum and maximum range. Now, this is the structure of number. The number structure is this. That means from negative certain value to positive certain value. Now, the question here is why it is called immutable. I can change values, but can I put a value higher than this? No. Can I change this structure of number structure? So max some 900 to, can I change it to max 10? Not possible. It's fixed. You cannot change the structure of a type. It's fixed. That's what we call as immutable. Immutable means they have a fixed structure. You have to use with the same structure. You can't change the structure. You can put limits for your values. You can say that my value must be between 10 to 20. But you cannot change this range. This range is always fixed for numbers. That is what they are called as what? Immutable types. Immutable type means you cannot change the structure. That means it have a fixed range for value. And very important is primitive types. They are stored in a memory stack. Actually, stack uses last in first out mechanism. Am I right? Last in first out mechanism. It uses last in first out mechanism. Stack uses this mechanism. All the primitive types are stored in a stack. They are stored in a stack memory. Stack is a memory where last in first out will happen. That is the reason yesterday you saw, I told you shadowing. Na? What happened is where x equal to 10 and again where x equal to 20. What is the value of x? Value of x is 20 because the last value goes in, that is the value that comes out. It works with the mechanism of stack, last in, first out. That is generally. So JavaScript have primitive types. JavaScript primitive types. Primitive types are, in JavaScript, the primitive types are, we have a number, we have string, we have boolean, we have null, we have undefined, we have a big int, and we have a symbol. These are all the types. And remember, you are learning latest JavaScript. Means I am not classifying. I am not classifying latest, or I am not classifying old. I am not telling that core or advanced. I am teaching you JavaScript which contains advanced. Everything advanced. Whatever advanced is there, I am teaching. I am not keeping a heading. Advanced JavaScript, basic JavaScript, JavaScript. Right? Only the point is, it includes both new concepts, old concepts, everything. Right? Whatever is there in the latest, we are discussing. And big int and symbol are the new data types. Big int and symbol are not the types which are available earlier. They are the new data types in JavaScript. And actually, they are available from JavaScript. I told you which version we are dealing with. ES6. JavaScript ES6 related, whatever new are there, we are discussing. This is advanced. All advanced concepts also included in this. These all are primitive types. See, different languages classification of primitive types may be different. But actually, see, sometimes you people may say that string is a non-primitive type. In some programming languages, they have that string as no. String means non-primitive type means they don't have fixed range. Non-primitive types means their range will change. That means structure can change. But in JavaScript, certain standards, according to the standards, for example, string means how much string you can store. String means some paragraph, text and everything. How much string you can store? How much string we can store? Actually, generally, in programming language, any value need to be stored in memory. Temporary memory. Temporary memory is what? RAM. Right? It stores all your variables where? In RAM. And what is the capacity of RAM? 2 GB, 4 GB, 6 GB, 16 GB. That means you are using a 2 GB RAM and can you store a 4 GB string? Then how? That means the point here is, that is the reason what they have done is they made a fixed range for string also. They say that even you are using RAM of 16 GB, our string can handle maximum 2 GB only. That means the string range in JavaScript is maximum 2 GB. You cannot store more than that. But in some technologies, what they do is they make their string in such a way that it adjusts itself according to the memory. If you are using more RAM memory, then it will change the size of string. That is the reason in those technologies, it may come under which type? It may come under non-primitive. Non-primitive because it will adjust itself according to the device. But JavaScript has done a fixed range for it. They say that you can't store more than this. For example, suppose we are using Notepad. Do you know in Notepad, you cannot type lengthy documents. There is limit. If you want lengthy documents, you have to go with MS Word. After certain pages, Notepad will stop. It will not allow to type anything because there is limit structure, fixed structure. It cannot go more than that. Approximately, I think it is having a 720 KB or some, means string capacity maximum. It will not allow characters more than that. So then that is the reason sometimes if you try to open a lengthy document in Notepad, it will say that I can't open this. This is too large. Please open in another software. Sometimes that issue will come. So technically, JavaScript primitive types, number, string, boolean, null, undefined, big int, and symbol. What are these? We will see them. First, we will discuss the primitive types. Then we will go into non-primitive, right? And let's see what are these primitive types. So what are the new types and how to handle them? First, important, we will see the number type. We'll see the number type, how we manage and work with number. So JavaScript number type. Actually, a number for JavaScript, can be any one of the following. A number for JavaScript can be any one of the following. That means it can be signed integer, it can be unsigned integer, it can be floating point, it can be double, it can be decimal, it can be exponent, it can be hexa, it can be octa, it can be binary. These are all the types. So signed integer, unsigned integer, floating point, double, decimal, exponent, hexa, octa, and binary. Any of these are considered as number. In JavaScript, any of these are considered as number. Signed integers, nothing but it will have negative, -5 like this. Unsigned integer means they are all positive. Floating point means up to 2 places of integer and maximum 2 places of decimals. If it is more than 2 places of integer, then it becomes a double. If it is more than 3 places of integer, then it becomes a decimal. It becomes a decimal. That's what we configure is actually. If it is up to 2 places of decimal maximum, then it is called as float. And if it is more than 2 places at 3, then it is called as double. If it is more than 3 integer values are there, anything more than 3, then it is called as decimal. We call them as decimals. And very important is a decimal can allow 29 decimal places. It can allow 29 decimal places, a lengthy decimal. Usually in other programming, it will be maximum 7 or 8 decimal places, 7 or 8 decimal places, but JavaScript 29. It can have a lengthy number, so it can have accurate values. So 29 decimal places it will support. Exponent actually defined as, exponent is defined with E. Exponent is defined with E, 2E3. 2E3 is nothing but 2 into 10 to the power of 3. 10 to the power of 3. That will be 2000. 2E3, that will be 2 into 10 to the power of 3. That will be 2000. So that is exponent value. If you add E into that, it becomes an exponent type. This is also considered as a number. E is not a string, it is a number. And even we have hexa. Hexa usually have fx like numbers, values. We already know hexadecimal, na? Right? Here we will discuss all these in different examples. We will use them. Usually f and x are the values used for hexa. You know 0 to f you can use for hexa. Already we learned hexadecimal. right? Octa means usually octa can have O. It can have O as a value. The first one is 0, second one is O. That means octas are defined with O and binaries are defined with 0B. They are defined with B. Binaries are defined with B. 0B 1010 is binary of 10. It is the binary of 10. So this all comes under number only. A signed integer, unsigned integer, floating points, double, decimal, exponent, hexa, octa, and binary. Any of these are considered as number. That means you see here, I am writing like where x equal to 2e3. 2e3. We write like this. And document dot write x equal to the value of x. Value of x. And you can see that this is actually 2 to the power of 3. 2 into 10 to the power of 3. This is an exponent type. This is an exponent type. We have an octa type 0, O, 0, O, and some 7, 8, 5. So this is an octa type. This is an octa type. We have a hexa type. Hexa type will be with what? 0xf. This is an hexa type. We have binary type 0b1010. That is a binary type. Usually it is a binary type of 10. These all we will use in different occasions. We will see how to handle them. So these all comes under the category of what? This all comes under the category of number. This all comes under the category of number. So when you are dealing with the numbers, so you can define any one of these as numbers. So it is a signed, unsigned, float, double, decimal, exponent, hexa, octa, and binary. Now, very important, we have a new data type called big int. Actually, big int is a new type for safely using large integers. Big int is a new type for safely using large integers. Actually, using large integers in memory, they will have an abnormal behavior. Sometimes those values will float. Using large numbers, so can float the values in memory. Floating means they are not constant. That means sometimes it returns one value, after some time it will return another value. Sometimes it returns a round value. That means nearest value. It will not return the correct values. Lengthy values, one of the major problem with lengthy number values is they round up their values. And due to that, you may miss lengthy values. You cannot safely use them. To avoid this problem, in the new versions of JavaScript, they introduced a new type which allows you to safely use lengthy integers. And that is called as what? Big int. And how you define big int? So big int configures. So big int configures large integer values with n as suffix. Then memory can easily manage your lengthy value. That is the new type they have defined. That means what they recommend is, suppose you are declaring a variable value where x equal to some 9988776543, something like this. You are writing a lengthy number. When you are writing a lengthy number, now JavaScript says that it is not safe. JavaScript says that it is not safe with me. You are using very lengthy number, it may time. JavaScript says that I am not sure about your number because it is too lengthy. Every time then what happens is in different situations, the result will vary. That means after few situations, the result will be different, which you are expecting the same result, it will not give. This is the problem with the numbers in memory. To avoid this problem, they have introduced the new concept that is nothing but you add the same number, and if you want to make it as a safe number, then what you have to do, add an as suffix, that's safe. This is safe integer value. So it is safe. It is safe. And we call this as it is safe. And it is called as what type? Big int type. We call it as big int type. This is the good way of writing a big numbers. Right? Whenever you are dealing with large numbers, don't leave them directly. Better use an as suffix. Otherwise, they will misbehave. They will not have a normal behavior. They may be abnormal in behavior. That is the reason many people come with complaint that actual this should be the result, but value is coming different. That is because the value may change in memory. We should not allow to change. We should safely use that lengthy value, then use this mechanism. This is the new thing we do in JavaScript from latest versions. So in the number, we have another concept called as what? Big int. So if you are dealing with lengthy integers, if you are dealing with lengthy integer values, better use an as suffix for them. An as suffix. How to use those values, I will tell you later. It will not print that n, right? But it is good always to use that n as suffix if you are dealing with lengthy numbers, right? We will use in different calculations. When you are designing some mathematical scientific calculation and you are expecting lengthy result and it may round up the result or change, then better use this begins, right? We will design one example for that. We will see. So what are the values recognized as number in JavaScript? So these are all the different types of values. Next important, while working with numbers, you have to know another point is every input from HTML is considered as string. Is considered as string. Every input from HTML is considered as string. From anywhere in HTML you input, everything is a string. Even you type a number, it is a string. You already know from where we can input values. 3 places. What are those? We can input values from query string. We can input values from prompt. We can input values from form elements. All are string only. Query string is a string. Prompt also a string. And form elements also string. Even you use input type number, the value that you input is treated as string. Then what happens is the numbers cannot be used as numbers. Then what we have to do is you have to parse. Parse is nothing but convert. You have to convert string into number. You have to convert string into number. You have to convert string into number. So JavaScript provides the methods. It will provide the methods parse int and parse float. These are the methods. For converting a string into number, we have to use these methods. Otherwise, result will be different. So here, I will just put a simple point. Means I will show you what it is. So every input in HTML is considered as a string. For example, you see here, let's create a simple prompt. I'm using here var age is equal to, we are taking from prompt and I say enter your age. and I am printing here document.write. You will be, I'm using some expression here. That means plus, I will add age plus 1 and I will write plus next year. Next year. This is what I'm doing. That means we are printing a string. To that string, we are adding one expression. What is that expression? Age plus 1. And we are saying next year you will be that. And this age is collecting the value from a prompt. And whatever you input from prompt is a string. Then what will happen now is when you run this, you see here, enter age. I say 22, then it will say you will be 22 plus 22 1 next year. That means it is not treating as a number. Even you entered a number. You enter a number from text box, it will do same. You enter a number from input type number, it will do same. You enter a number from a drop down, it will do same. That means it is not treating as a number, it is treating as a string. You have to convert the string into number. How do you convert the string into number? You have to do that. There are two ways. You can convert into number at the time of calculating in the expression, or you can do it at the time of input. If you do at the time of input, everywhere you can use it. Right? If you do in this expression, it will be only here. In other places, again, it will be string. So better what we do is, whenever we take the prompt, this prompt is going to return a string. We will convert into number and store. Then we have to use parse int. And into that, we have to pass this age. Into that, we have to pass the age. That means whatever the string that you input is converted into number and it is stored here. Now it will work perfectly. Otherwise issues will come. I entered, then it says you will be 23 next. So that is the right way of converting. So you have to convert a value into string value into number by using parseInt. Actually, if you are asking for suppose rate, and I am asking instead of age, enter interest rate. And here I return something like interest rate. Interest rate is increased by 1. And here I will put as what? Rate plus 1. Only this I am displaying. That means increased by 1. Okay. Now you see what I am doing here. I am entering interest rate. Interest rate I am entering some 12.56. It should be 13.56, but it will show 13 only. It will show 13 only. So by 1, so like this I am using. It will show 13 only. It will show 13. Suppose I said 14.56. It will say 14, 15 nearest value. Why it is doing that? It is not taking the correct value because you are taking a decimal and you are using parseInt. That is not good. For decimals, you have to use parse float. That depends whether you are taking a integer or a float. Right? If you are taking a float or double or decimal, then what you have to do, you should not use parseInt. You have to use what? Parse float. If you use parse float, then it will be correctly taking your value. That means 12.56, it will be 13.56. Otherwise, you will get wrong values. Wrong means it will round the nearest values, right? So we have to use two methods. What are those two methods? So one is parseInt, another one parse float. Syntactically, this is. So you have some where age is equal to parseInt. So prompt. So enter age. So that is a basic document dot write. I'm saying you will be age plus 1 and next year, like this. So that is how we configure. Example, I will give that. This is an example. Example is nothing but that is a float, how you can convert. It's very important. Whenever you are dealing with numbers in JavaScript, you have to make sure that you have converted them, especially while working with HTML, because from HTML, whatever, from wherever you input, it is not a number. It is treated as a string, right? You need to convert this into number. Next important is you can verify the input type number or not by using JavaScript method is NaN. That is very important. So you can verify the input type number or not. So the input type number or not by using JavaScript method called isNaN. While working with numbers, all these things you have to remember. Because when user enters a value, it's very important to verify whether it is number or not. Why? Because your JavaScript is not strongly typed. If it is strongly typed, it will reject. You enter something else, it will reject. But if it is not strongly typed, then what it will do is it will take the value and it will concat the value. So that is the reason we need to restrict the values. We don't want anybody to enter anything else other than number. Then we have to use this method isNaN. What it will do? Actually, it is a Boolean method. It is a Boolean method. A Boolean method that returns true if input value is not a number. It is a Boolean method that returns true if input value is not a number. That is one option. So we can verify whether it is a number or not by using isNaN. So for example, see here, suppose I just created a simple screen here. I'm using your age. So just put data list, data term. So data term, your age, something like this, and data definition, input type is equal to, suppose, number I am using. And here I will put here ID as what? Age. One of the good advantage for us is when you mention this, it will not allow to enter string. That is one restriction. It will not allow to enter string, so that user will enter only number. There is no chance of entering any kind of string, right? If it is a text box or if it is a prompt, if it is a text box or prompt, then, or if it is a drop down, whatever value comes is in the form of string. In that case, now how do you verify and how do you display? Suppose ID I given as error. Now what should happen is whenever user enters the age, and we will put a button called submit. This is a simple design we created. When user enters the age and when he entered something which is not a number and click on submit, it should show a message, please enter a number. Age must be number, something. Then what we will do is, we will write an event on click. On click what? Submit click. We will write a function here, script. And the script function is what? Submit click. Submit click. And on submit click, we have to collect the age. Document get element by ID. From where? Age. Age dot value. And we have to collect the error. Document get element by ID. Element by ID. That is error. Error is a data definition. We will write a condition. If is NaN age, that means age is not a number, then error inner HTML, it should display age must be a number. Age must be a number. Otherwise, it is a number, then you say document dot write your age is how much. It should display that age. That is the basic logic we written here. That means we are verifying whether the value is a number or not. And here, when you are entering the value, you entered some value wrong. Then it says age must be a number. And when you entered the number correctly, then it will display your age. You have to verify. Why we have to verify? Because our language is not a strongly typed language. Every time we have to verify. Every time we have to verify and check whether it is a number or not. In interviews, they ask in a different way. That means this is example. Okay. This is verifying is number or not. This is example I will give you. What is the function we are using here? Is NaN. In some interviews, they ask this question like how to verify input value number or not using regular expression. Using regular expression, not with is NaN. Is NaN is a simple method. It will verify. Regular expression is important. Regular expression, how do you verify this? Actually, when you are attending MNC level interviews, these kind of questions are common in JavaScript. In MNC level interviews, so many type of consequences they ask usually. I will give you some coding exercise, coding examples, how the questions are asked in companies. Means how they ask in MNC level companies the questions on JavaScript, how they ask. So for that, these kind of consequences are very important because actually we can do it in a simple way, but the interviewer, they ask in a complex way. They will say that everybody knows how you will do like this. What is another way for this? Right? Now, how do you write a regular expression to accept only number? You learned regular expression, na? You learned regular expressions, right? We learned meta characters, right? Through meta characters, how you will allow only numbers. Only numbers means how to write regular expression. Regular expression for only number, it can be /d. Am I right? Or in the square brace, it can be 0-9. Am I right? These are the regular expressions used for that. That means now what we have to do is, see, here, not is n. We have to use a regular expression. Regular expressions are written in double slash. Inside two slashes, we have to write regular expression. When you write regular expression in your text box, you put in a double quote. Regular expression means pattern. You learn pattern. Pattern is equal to double quote. In double quote, you write the pattern. Here, patterns are written in double slash. In JavaScript, you have to write patterns in double slash. In double slash, slash D indicates what? Only numeric. Indicates only numeric. Only numeric. How many? Only one. It indicates numeric, only one. How many digits you have to allow? You have to allow, suppose slash D, 2 digits. Or you can allow in the curly brace. How many? 2. You have quantifiers also, na? Write this, we have to write. And we have to verify this now. How to verify the age is matching with this regular expression or not? We have to use a method called age.match. Age is a string. It should match with regular expression. If it is matching with regular expression, document.write. So your age is how much age they entered, we will print. Otherwise, we will print error.inner.html. We will display age must be a 2-digit number. Am I right? A 2-digit number. If you want limits also 10 to 15 and all, you can write conditions. You have to write the conditions. Initially, this is by using regular expression. Now see what I am doing here. I am entering here some string. Then it says age must be a 2-digit number. And I entered some age, then it is okay. Suppose I am entering age, then it says must be a 2-digit number because it is validating the regular expression. And if I entered a 3-digit number also, it's so taking. It should limit only 2-digit numbers. It should limit only 2-digit numbers. How you limit that? This indicates only 2, na? Right? But it is allowing 3. Why? Is there anything else you can write? Actually, we haven't learned any string function. Later, we will learn a string function. When we learn a string function, we have methods called test. Another method is match. By using them, we can write. And while writing regular expression, if you remembered, I told you that regular expression will have a start and end. Right? How to start an expression, end an expression. Those all we have to write. In next level, I will tell you. But here, it is not allowing any alphabets, anything. It will allow only what? It will allow numbers. It will allow numbers. That you can do. Later, we can put more restriction for that. Initially, if anyone asks how to verify input value number or not using regular expression, answer is what? By using pattern and JavaScript method called what? Match. JavaScript match method. You have to use this. So how we need to display? Right. So when you are dealing with the numbers, you should know these 2 points. But majority of the times, the best recommended way is NaN. This is just for interview sake they ask. Why? Because they ask like, tell me an alternative way. Without the functions, how do we verify? Right? So this is example. Syntactically for this is where age is equal to some age, where regular expression is equal to, we have to write in 2 slash, or just slash. In that slash, how to write slash D and how many digits, 2 digits, 3 digits, like this you need to define. How to verify that? Dot match with the regular expression. Then you should display. If it is matching with regular expression, how you? It returns true if it is correctly matching with the expression. So that is one important, how to convert a string into number, and how do we convert how do we verify whether input is a string or number. For that we can use isNaN, or for that we can use regular expression. There is one more point. We need to convert a number into string. You have to convert a number into string. So it is possible by using toString is one method, and a toLocal string is another method. toString and toLocal string we need to use. So we have these two options. To local actually is CALE. They use the word CALE, to local string. It's not local. So that is to local string and to string. Now the question is, why should I convert a number to string? Why should I convert a number to string? Generally, we have to convert a number to string to add lot of string formats to number. This is also very much asked in interviews, which you can implement later after learning string concept. Actually, what they do is, for example, I will show you why you need to convert into string. Generally, for example, they give a number like this. They give a number like this. Suppose 1, and we have a number, some 0, some 9, 7, something. And we have another number like suppose 6, 5, 3, something. Another number is suppose some 4, 3, 1, like this. Now, do you know what they ask in interviews for programming people? They say that, so add a hyphen before every even number. These kind of programs they ask. Even for Java, .NET like people also, these kind of programs are given. Logically, Java people and all, they ask, write a program to verify whether the string is a palindrome or not. How many times a character repeated? Compulsory. Otherwise, you can't crack Java interviews or anywhere. These kind of questions are mandatory. Everywhere same. Right? Because this is how the questions are asked. So not only in JavaScript, anywhere the same. Because logics and string handling, number handling, all same everywhere. Right? For example, how you will do that? For that, you need to convert this number into a string. Then we can split where the even number comes, and we can add an hyphen before that. That means we cannot use as number anymore. We have to convert this number into a string. And to convert any number into string, usually we do like this. What we do is, suppose this number is added in mobile, right? If this number is added in mobile, like this it is there. No hyphens, nothing. It is like this. Then what we do is, simply we will access mobile dot what to string. That means it is converted into a string. After converting into string, we can implement string functions on it. String functions later you will learn. By using string functions, we can split the string. We can add a new value into the string at specific positions. These all are important. We can do that. For that reason, we need to convert number into string. Not only that, for example, you learned Java. Suppose in Java, if anybody asks, you declared some integer value, you declared some 4500 something. That means suppose you declared some price as 5600. Now, if anybody asked you, like, I want to print this in a dollar, so 56,00 like this, how? In Java, you have to store an integer and you need to print it like this. How you will print? How you will print like that? Take a number and print like this. That is the task in Java. How you will do? You have to, do you have any string functions? You have a lot of string functions. You need to use those string functions. You need to identify the separators. You need to add. This is a lengthy process. You have to convert the number into string, then only you can manage. Here in JavaScript, actually, what you can do is, see, in JavaScript, suppose we are having a number. I'm copying this code. This is the code roughly for expression. Yeah. And see here, I'm just giving a simple script. So we are having some price. That means we are having like var price. Price is some value we are having. So that is the price value we are having. And we will print the price. Document.write. We have to print the price. How do we print the price? Just we are printing the price. Then actually the price is printed in the same way. It is printed in the same way. Now, usually we can convert this into what? To local string. You can convert into to local string. Actually, we have to use a function called, so I will show you a basic one. So here we are using the number. That means we have to take the number. Number is what? Price. And this price have to use to local string. And into that local string, we have to add the local attributes. Local attributes, we have like style. That means we are adding style. Style is actually currency. Currency. And what is the currency? Currency is nothing but we have INR, that is Indian rupee, like this. Actually, this is not complete. It will display in this format. That means it is using a 1000 separator. So currency format, to apply the currency format, suppose you have the currency format. What is it? USD. USD is the currency format. Those numbers will be printed. That means the type, is it dollar or is it rupee symbol, it is printed. For that we need to use some characters, I will tell you. For that we need to learn string handling, then you can easily handle. But you saw here, if I just use the currency type, that means style, I am just using currency. That means it is going to print with this. A 1000 separator is added. Depending on the value, that means whatever the value you are adding here, and based on that it will put it. And which country currency format you have to use it. Generally we call this as localization, globalization. In JavaScript, localization, globalization is nothing but according to the country, you can just put a country, currency and date format, time formats and all. Later I will explain them because these are all related to a concept called string, right? Currently we are learning number, but one important thing you should know, how to convert a number into string. Just an example I will give you here. Later you will put different currency symbols and all. What we have to do, you take any number. That means some number you take and you have to use what? To local string. In that local string, we have to add a format called simply you need to put a style. You need to put a style. And what is the style? Currency. That's it. Later you will learn how to add different kinds of symbols and icons and all. Why we need to convert a number into string? These are all important. So converting a string to number and converting a number to string to display in different formats. Okay. Now, once you know this, this is all about what? Number. Now, this is not finished. While working with numbers, you need to know how to handle the manipulation on numbers. That means how to handle various types of operations, addition, subtraction, multiplications and all. We will design one example using numbers that we'll see in our next session, right? In the next session, we will discuss about some examples on number type. I just explained number type. Some examples on number type we will see in the next session, right? And next session, we don't have session on Monday, right? Monday, my sessions will not be there, right? So if you are attending other batches, they will be there. Monday, my sessions will not be there. Again, our session will be on Tuesday. Okay, right.